Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Reg, and I want to welcome you to this very first stream on this channel. And to be quite honest with you guys, I have absolutely no clue how to start all this thing out. But one thing I do know is that I wanted to create this channel and share my complete journey, just going through web development projects with you guys. And what we'll be building for this first part of this channel will be a business web app that will be built using microservices, which is a pretty hefty project and a long-term project. And as I tackle this project, I want to keep things very, very laid back and casual, so you guys can have a second to decipher my Franglish accent at the same time. So the goal here is to build a business management web app, like I said, with a microservice architecture. And for the first parts of these streams, I'll be planning out all the infrastructure and try to build the very first version with a more of a monolithic approach using Django, which is a pretty popular Python web app framework. And it's going to be a lot easier just to get things built out. We'll see how things work out, what doesn't work, and it's just going to be a lot easier for debugging. And once everything is working, I'm going to start to take and break down the Django web app into more small and more scalable services, which will be hosted obviously in Docker, and try to get the most performance out of that app. And it's going to be a lot more modular. So feel free to ask any questions. Share your thoughts in the chatting time. I want this to be an interactive stream at the same time. I want to have your feedback. I'm not an expert programmer at all. I don't brag to be an expert. I'm actually self-taught. And the other reason I just want to go ahead and stream is, why not? We're going to hit snags. Everybody's going to hit snags. I wanted to take myself outside of the comfort zone and see that it's normal to hit bugs and snags all along the way. So I'd love to get your feedback, like I said, along the way, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the tools that we're using, the project as we go on, as I explain it, or even whatever other approach you guys like to take. If you have more experience than me, or you see I'm having a hard time, just go ahead and jump in. We'll have a blast and just work everything out together. For now, for that first initial infrastructure, general structure, where I'll be brainstorming using ChatGPT, and I'll be just sketching everything out using a Figma Jamboard. It's going to be a lot more visual for us. And yeah, so enough chatter. Just let's hop in and get this thing going. All right. So I already started this project a few months back, but then I figured, why not just share the whole creation process? So in Figma, we're just gonna go and create a new Fig Jamboard. And this is pretty awesome. I've played around with it a little bit, but you can just drag out shapes, add text, create links. So one thing I do know is everything starts on the client side. And next up, the very first thing, or let's just go ahead and copy and paste this. It's going to be a lot easier. So once the client makes a request to our backend web app, which will be here, the very first thing I know I'm going to have to use will be an API gateway. Because this will link, and I'll start by doing this, even if I'm using a Django, which actually has like routing services in it. The API gateway will be easier once we start breaking out that Django project into services. And this essentially just, it routes the URLs from the client to the correct service. And we'll also have a GraphQL server in the backend here to all those queries. We'll start by doing this the right way. It's going to be a lot easier further down the end. All right, so link these two together. Not that one. So from the API gateway, let's go ahead to ChatGPT and start asking questions. Start by giving it a role. As a genius. This will be a very fun and long project. Oh, and I forgot to say, the reason I'm actually creating this project in particular is because I'm looking to use this and sell to local businesses around my my city. Once everything is completed, everything is all like I have like a minimum viable product, so I can actually all the backend is going to be made. And I didn't want to go ahead and use WordPress or anything like that because I'm actually really fond of Python, which is an awesome programming language. And I wanted to have complete control over all the integrations or plugins, whatever company calls whatever. I didn't want to have to run WordPress and install like 10 or 15 plugins, and some of them are paid, some of them are free. I just wanted to go ahead and create my own version using Python, microservices, or whatever other programming language that I might need further down the line, and just have the complete control over it, which I find I don't have using like pre-built CRMs that are available now, unless I'm mistaken. I mean, go ahead and correct me if I am. Not every time, and I don't know, tell me if I'm not the only one. You have that one plugin, then after a sudden you're trying to do that little one thing that you can't do because it doesn't offer it. Then you need to do like 10 workarounds or install other plugins to compensate for that one, and it's just a plugin hell. All right, so let's get our head back into this project. Yes, so the API gateway. And what I'll be using for now is actually Kong. Which is a pretty popular API gateway, open sourced. This is why I'm going to use it. And later on, I might transition to AWS API gateway. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how things goes, because it's self and fully managed. It's more expensive, but I mean, it's a fully managed service, so you don't have to worry about anything other than setting it up. So what I'm going to do here is underneath. There, just Kong. There. There. Let's give this a fun and meaningful name. Just like naming variables. I know I'm going to have architecture written in there. Architecture. Sure. There. Global. use Kong. Use sticking GraphQL for all communication. Use GraphQL. So service communication. Yes, I will be using gRPC. Use gRPC synchronous and yes, rabbit MQ for asynchronous communication. So it's fun. So it's already picking out. So I already did some small research prior to, like I said, starting the stream and this whole process. And it remembered what I asked it in the past community conversations. So this is pretty awesome. Kubernetes cluster. So for the moment, and how I want to structure this is I don't want it to run on Kubernetes all the time, because I want to go ahead and sell tiers to the businesses. So in the first tier, all I'm going to have is one server running Docker, and I think it's called Docker. How's it called? Like just like Docker forgot that name. Right. Yeah, I think it's like I don't remember how it's called. I mean, it's just like one whole Docker project and containers, and it's all communicated. I think it's called like the host network, share host network namespace, and everything will be run inside of that private Docker host. And if I go up to tier 2, then I might introduce Kubernetes, because for that it's going to cost a lot more to run Kubernetes, even if it's AWS or self-hosted, whether or even using EKS on AWS. So I'm going to keep the costs as low as possible, even if it infringes like performance. But I mean, if you're small business running into a local small town, medium, or even large size city, it's going to be limited to people surrounding that area that are going to come. You're not going to have like 1 million users going in. So this will be overkill. So I'm going to start small by thinking how I'm going to structure this so it can scale up easily into tiers. And to build up those tiers, eventually also, we're gonna like just write a script. So it's gonna take the tier 1 and transform it into tier 2, and vice versa. You can even drop down from tier 2 to tier 1. Like go from a Kubernetes cluster right back down to just a single server running Docker with all the containers inside. And for the database, I will be using PostgreSQL for all my database uses. And for, like I said, for the first years, usually in a microservice architecture, you need the preferred way is having just like one database per service. But for the first parts, I mean, I'm just going to use one database. It's going to be a lot easier for debugging and creation for the whole project. And we'll see about monitoring and logging later on. Okay. So this is exactly here. Public user. The public user, which is the client. Let's just copy. Here we go. The Kong API gateway. Our microservices. The RabbitMQ. Yeah. This looks like it works, but there's something. All the aspects are here, but I mean, we should have a RabbitMQ server and a database like outside next to these microservices, not because this one here will use this one and all the same one, but they're all. Yeah. You see what it did here, but it's not represented correctly. Let's work around this. And I also want, I mean, you could run Redis and RabbitMQ inside of like the Django app, but like I said, I really want to start and run their own on their own server for the time being. Yeah, so Redis I'll use for caching and to work with the database. I'm not sure yet exactly how I'm gonna like merge them together, but might as well just plan it out right now. If I don't use it now, great. If I use it, well, great, it's there. And same thing, this I know I'm gonna use, but RabbitMQ. And gRPC will be running on the actual microservice instance. All right, so I'd like to keep on going, but unfortunately I have to go. I know this is a short stream. Hopefully we can do some longer ones as we go. But I will see you guys later. And we will keep, well, just start working, keep on trying to build up this infrastructure so we have something feasible, so we can actually start and creating the actual code for the Django web app and installing all those Docker containers, the host and everything inside of Docker. So see you guys on the next stream.